Matthews chapter 24 and verse 12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone, who were very well, very beautifully. Double salutations to the Akim and her pushing his gospel and truth and his sincerity to the best of their ability given to them by Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Peace, blessings, and salutations be unto the elect scattered abroad. May the election of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Lord willing, fall upon your houses. This is the brother Quanah Watts from the Arizona Great Millstone Camp. Come back at you, Lord will, with the edifying lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Lord will. It is edifying, Lord will. It is straight to the point. Hey, man, shit is turning up, man. You know, as you see right here, this is on the Newsbreak app. My bros sent this in the chat, but it says, man, grape woman hurt in car crash instead of taking her to hospital, Fort Lauderdale police say. Right, and as you see, this is the man, you know, that ultimately raped that woman, which we're going to get into it. Right, it says Fort Lauderdale police arrested a Fort Lauderdale man on a sexual battery charge. Right, it says Thursday in connection with accusations from an acquaintance in 2023. Right, so it was a couple years ago. It says Brendan Lee Jones, whose name was alternatively listed in official records as Brendan Lee Jones, is accused of graping the woman on September 15, 2023, after the two had gotten into a car crash and she was hurt. Right, it says according to an incident report from the Fort Lauderdale Police Department, the woman living at a Lauderhill homeless shelter called the city's police department to report that she was graped somewhere behind the KFC at 3100 West Broward Boulevard. Right, and this is in Florida. Right, it says FLPD officers say they found no evidence of sexual assault there. However, court records show Jones, 40, lives 3 blocks due south of the restaurant in the Melrose Park neighborhood. According to the report, the woman told officers in an interview that Jones, whom she knows as the drug dealer twin, had picked her up from a food store near Dillard High School, and as the two drove, they were rear-ended. A friend of Jones picked them up after Jones fled the scene, and Jones refused her request to be taken to the hospital, police said. The two men had to pick the victim up out of the vehicle because she was in pain and immobile. Right, the report says. So ultimately, this woman was, you know, they got rear-ended, and it doesn't necessarily describe, right, how severe the accident was, you know, but, you know, enough to, you know, ultimately put this woman in a state of, you know, extreme pain and make it to where she can't really move, you know. It says police said the two drove back to Jones' house, even though the victim said she told them to take her home if they weren't going to take her to the hospital. Authorities said she fell asleep in Jones' bed and awoke to him graping her, despite her telling him to stop. Right, it says the woman told police that Jones made comments like, "I can do what I want and open your effing legs. You made me crash my car," according to the report. Right, so he was, you know, graping this woman, man. Even though she asked to be taken to the hospital, you know, he said he don't care, you know. And this is the kind of mindset, right, that's ultimately starting to grow, you know, in the earth. And we're gonna see more and more cases like this, man. Right, you had a woman, I think it was back in 2023, if I'm not mistaken, you had a woman that was openly on I think it was in maybe New York, New Jersey, or something like that, in that area. Right, you had that woman being out in public being raped on a subway station, man. You know, so this is the kind of shit that is ultimately brewing in the earth. And, you know, as we read in Matthew the 24th chapter, you know, it tells you, matter of fact, I want to grab it in the blue letter if I can, because I want to get that word cold. Right, this is Matthew's 24 and verse 12. And we're reading in the NLT. It says, sin will be rampant everywhere And this is what we see, right? Second Ezra, the 15th chapter, it says, for wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, right? Sin is at an all-time high now, right? It says sin will be rampant everywhere, and the love of many will grow cold, right? And when we go into that word cold, salak, right? When you go into that word cold, it goes into the Greek word psycho, right? It says, when you love, actually, we're going to have to grab this on etymology, right? Psycho. Psycho, right? Trying to find it. But it ultimately goes into extremely aggressive and unstable. I'm trying to find that. Esau be changing these damn, definitions and whatnot, man. Right? Psycho. Psychological. Yeah, Esau making it hard to actually get the true definition, right? So like, I'm gonna pull it up on Google. Right, so right here, psycho definition, right? It says an unstable and aggressive person, right? Exhibiting unstable and aggressive behavior. And see, the aggression of these people is turning up even more, It's like, more and more crazy shit is happening, man. You got people, punching babies, right? People are, women killing their babies, And as you see right here, a man gets into an accident, and instead of taking this woman to the hospital, he ultimately grapes her, man, while she's ultimately not able to fight back, right? She's not able to, defend herself. She kind of just has to sit there and take it, man. This is the kind of behavior that's ultimately increasing in the earth, man. And there's a precept I do want to grab. Close that out. And this is in Second Esdras, which, for those that don't know, Esdras is Ezra, right? In the Old Testament, you got Ezra, right? It's the same person, right? But this is Second Ezra 5, and I'll start at verse 1, because this is ultimately going into, the end times, man, right? And the different signs that we would see, right, in the last days, right? The second Ezra 5 and 1, it says, nevertheless, as coming the tokens, right? Behold, the day shall come, that they which dwell upon the earth shall be taken in great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. And we're seeing, Esau ultimately attacking this truth, this ministry, a hell of a lot harder, right? He's ultimately setting up different laws and legislation, right, which will, allow him, right, to come down and snatch up the men of the Lord, and make it harder for videos to be put out, edifying, the elect of the nation of Israel. This is what we're facing, But I want to drop down to verse 10. It says, and shall be sought of many and yet not be found. Then shall unrighteousness and incontinency be multiplied upon the earth, man. Right? I want to look up that word incontinence, which I have it. Incontinence, right? It says inability to restrain sexual desire, right? Sexual immorality, right? Incontinence, right? Grapings, increase in Moism, increase in, all different types of sexual sin, man, is increasing in the earth, and we're seeing that. and it's only going to, further increase, man. You're going to see, people getting raped, in the daylight a hell of a lot more, man, and with, going back in, 2021, the defunding of the police force, man, you had it to where a lot of police officers either quit, and or, were fired, and then you had it to where, you got certain states made it to where, certain crimes, right, are to be reported, but yet they're not to be in the jails because the jails are understaffed, so they have to let the people go. They just fine them, right? So you got a lot of felons, you got a lot of criminals out on the streets, man, as well as they had that border open, which allowed for more criminals to come across. Now, I'm not saying all the, the migrants and whatnot, immigrants, right, were ultimately, criminals, right? But you do have criminals amongst them, right? And even of the other nations, right, that came across, right, like the Arabs that came across, the Asians, the Africans and whatnot, right, that came across the border, right? Some of these, are criminals, man. And even then, this shit is increasing, right? Wickedness is increasing in the earth, man. And Yahweh Shemel Shah ain't playing, especially for you women, man. Because I think it was actually recently, some prisoners escaped from the Arizona prison. I think it was like 10 of them or something like that. They escaped from the Arizona prison. How? I don't necessarily know, right? But there's going to be more of those events happening, right? Prison breaks, people escaping, and what are they going to do? They're going to go around and for however, they were trapped in a box basically for however long. They ain't had none, man, right? They're going to take it, right? They're going to take it, especially in the times to come when all hell breaks loose, right? What do you think they're going to do, man? There's not going to be no police officers. There's not going to be no help for you women. What do you think these men are going to do? They're going to take that shit, man, which is prophecy, right? As we read in it's like in Isaiah, the 13th chapter and verse 16, it says, their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes, right? Because, you women, right? A lot of you women are single, where you got kids and whatnot, you might have older kids or whatnot, you got a man that comes, kicks open the door, right? You got a son or two, maybe 12, 13 years old, and he gonna try to get off my mom. What he's gonna do? He's gonna grab that little nigga by the neck, snap his fucking neck, you know what I mean? And go back to graping you, man. These dudes, man, the time that we're coming into is gonna be a ruthless time. It says their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes, meaning you're gonna see your children get killed, man. It says their houses shall be spoiled, meaning they're gonna run through your houses, take everything that they want, right? Food, water, right? It says, and their wives ravished, man. And it says wives, right? So women that have men, right? These men that are gonna come in, they're gonna kill your husband, they're gonna kill your kids, and they're gonna grape you, man. Right? These are the times that we are coming into, man. These are the times that we're coming into. And this is why, Isaiah 4:1 is going to take hold, man. Because you're going to see the men of the Lord, right? And they're going to be cool, calm, and collected. They're not, the Lord's going to have their back, right? So when all hell breaks loose, right? The men of the Lord and all those that are with them, the women and whatnot, right? The women and the children, they're going to be, have that hedge of protection around them. And other women, right, that ain't got a man, that see what's happening, they're gonna try to, get on that bandwagon, if you will, right? Because that ravish, when you go into that word ravish, it basically goes into to seize by force, right? To take off by force, right? So man is gonna snatch you up, and he gonna take you somewhere, and he gonna grape you, man. And you women are gonna need, a man of the Lord, right? Because a man of the Lord is gonna have that hedge of protection, Right, as it says in Isaiah 32:2, it says a man shall be a cover from the storm and from the tempest, man. Right, roughly paraphrasing, man. And that's talking about a man of the Lord. That's not talking about no regular ass dudes out here, because they're going to be the ones that are out here going to be doing the graping, the seizing, you know what I mean, the spoiling and whatnot. Hey, but the men of the Lord, hey, we're going to have, well, you know, enough. You know, scriptures talk about you shall be merry and have abundance, man. The Lord is going to take care of, you know, those that trust and believe in him, right, as well as those that are with the men of the Lord. You know, Isaiah 4:1 is coming quick, right? We're going to have 7 women, which is number of completion, right, taking hold of the men of the Lord, right, so that way they don't have to deal with what's coming, you know. That's why it says, Isaiah 13:12, I will make a man, and this is talking about a man of the Lord, not a regular fucking dude out here, man. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. So we're going to be made in the time to come. We're going to be made, you know, and it's going to be shown, right, our value. You know, a man of the Lord is the most valuable you know, human being upon the earth. Right, the woman ain't the prize, the man is a prize. And really, it's not just a man, it's a man of the Lord is the prize. You know, and that's going to be made manifest in the times to come, right, as we see. You know, so you women better get right, man. You know, you better get right, or you're going to be left, right, to fend for yourself. And you women have no strength, right, above the strength of a man, period, right, whether you be a man of the Lord or not. Right, you women are biologically weaker than men. Physically, biologically, right, weaker than men. You know, so you're not going to be able to defend yourselves, man. You know, and all you wicked ass women are going to be overcome by these men, right? They're going to just come out here and just snatch it. They're going to take it from you, man. You know, they're going to take it from you. At that point, what are you going to do, man? You know, and I'll end off with this, man. This is Isaiah 32 and verse 9. It says, rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. You better pay attention. You better listen. We know a lot of you fucking women are rebellious, hard-headed. You know, you don't like to listen. But see, that's going to be your downfall, man. How long will ye simple ones love simplicity, right? And fools hate knowledge, right? As you continue to walk down that path, the Lord's going to mock and laugh at your calamity when that shit happens, man. You know, all you women that have done, you know, a man of the Lord bad, right? All you women that have turned down a man of the Lord, you know, scoff and mock at a man of the Lord, made fun of him, right? Lord, you going to get your fucking recompense, man. You know, you're going to see that man, right, gain value as the times go on, and you're not going to have a piece of it, you know? So you better listen, pay attention, and repent. Acts 3:19, read that, right? But that's all I got, man. I just want to hit that quick little point through the spirit, man. Lord will is edifying, Lord, straight to the point. I want to give all praise, honor, glory to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Kakodash. Till next time, I say shalom.